Yeah, so good morning, everyone. It is privilege for us to have Subangato Adak with us, and I am thankful to Mr. Maksud Ansari and Aptech Institute who helped us to get the speaker for us. And he's having good background in the field of computers as well as management. So he's a perfect blend of science as well as the business. At present, he is working as an associate data scientist at Royal Dutch Shell, the well-renowned MNC. So it will be great opportunity for us to listen him for next 1 hour and so. So I welcome you, sir, and I request you to address our audience. Thank you. So Dinesh, sir, can we switch to presentation now? Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is doing good and everybody is safe. Sorry for my COVID-19 look. I've been trying some analysis with my hair as well, and I messed it up big time. So let me know once you can see my screen, please. Can you see my screen?
No, not yet, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Can you see that right now?
Right.
Yes, yes. Now it is visible.
So, friends and countrymen, welcome to the seminar and webinar on data science and business intelligence. Today, we will be talking about most of the things that actually goes in the industry regarding data science and business intelligence. And thank you, Aptech, for giving me this particular opportunity to talk to you guys and present my case on data science and business intelligence. I will be taking you through the agenda. I'll be talking about the different types of misconceptions that we have in data science, business intelligence, and I will be talking a bit more about COVID-19 situation and how data science is actually helping in COVID-19 situations. Moving forward, it has always been my prerogative to start with focus on safety. So all we are sitting at home, but if you have any kind of emergency, please feel free to drop out, and it's not an issue. And please look out for your safety, stay at home and enjoy your time at home with work from home. So who am I? Sorry for those who don't understand why I'm writing inspired by Jackie Chan. You might have understood the reference. It's from a movie called Who Am I by Jackie Chan. I'm a computer science engineer who really likes business, who understands the numbers, and I help companies to make informed decisions to go forward and drive their business. I'm a ME Software Engineering from BIT Mestra and MS in Global Business Management from France. Currently, I'm working as an associate data scientist with Royal Dutch Shell, Chennai right now. I'm a ex-Nielsenite, and I'm also a founder member of Vislation.com. So guys, that is a community of data scientists. All those people who are interested might join that community. It's a non-profit community where we are actually discussing on Sunday basis about the various data science methodologies, and we will be coming out with a very comprehensive report on COVID-19 by the end of this month. And actually, we are going to publish magazines as well. Going forward, so let's start with, I understand people know a lot about what is data science, and there has been a lot of jargons going in the market, misconceptions about what is the definition of data science. So let me come out, anything related to any kind of data, you can call it data science. Let it be simple exploratory analysis where actually you are going and looking at the numbers and saying, okay, the average of this particular variable or a particular KPI that you have is such number. That is data science. So data science is an umbrella which actually takes in consideration many of the things that we actually see around us in your daily life, from buying a particular vegetable to buying portfolios on stock and trading. Everything is data science in your life right now. No industry can right now come out of data science and say, no, we are not doing anything out of data science. When I move a little step further and I look at the different terminologies and the different genres of data science that we can call is, let's start with business intelligence. So when you incorporate your technology, data science, you represent them in charts, graphs, you visualize them, you bring out small insights from them, you process the data to find out some kind of information. That is business intelligence. Now like in the past 5 years, there has been a lot of talk about what is artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning. So let me be very clear with you, friends. It might sound very hi-fi, and we data scientists and we mathematicians, we computer science engineers like to actually push big terms so that people think we are sophisticated. But actually, looking at what is artificial intelligence, you write a code, it runs based on a particular logic. That is artificial intelligence. That is the umbrella for the other two parts: machine learning, deep learning. When you go to machine learning, how do you define machine learning? People will be coming out, okay, you write a code, train a model, test a model, that is machine learning. To me, machine learning is basically generalization. You're generalizing. Suppose you have sales and you have certain parameters. What are you doing basically? You are trying to generalize for the near future. So you have certain parameters, you design a training set that is for basically generalizing or finding out the equation, and then you test whether that particular equation has significance or it is really going to be implemented in real near future for the forecasting or not. Then when you go down to deep learning, so this is a very niche topic that is the smallest part of artificial intelligence and also machine learning, because you're dealing with a very complex set of algorithms and complex set of data. For example, you talk about images, you talk about stock data that is very large, that has random walks that you cannot actually forecast using any of the forecasting methodologies. Or you have, suppose, for example, audio data. So in that particular case, the data is so large and computational intensive that in your real life, in your own computer, you cannot match it up. You have to have certain algorithms that make the computational ability compatible with your algorithms and your data. That is where deep learning comes into action. So these are the various parts of the particular, what you say is data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. Please keep an eye on this particular visualization. I will be coming to the visualization a little back after some time so that I can ask you a small question. And guys, I want this particular session to be interactive. I don't want to be keep on speaking that you might get bored. So I want to make it very interactive so that you guys come up with your questions and you can actually tell me what you think about the particular concept that have been discussed here. Moving on. Let's look at the big pictures. This is for students who have learned machine learning, those people who are actually working in the industry. Analytics, it's not about algorithm. Understand? It's about the data. There is a fantastic book named How to Lie with Statistics, because when you talk about data is the power that you have. You process the data according to yourselves and you then apply the various algorithms. It's not so. It has been said that your prediction is as good as your data. So if you think that the data is suppose, so you have a small amount of data and talk about big algorithms. No, you cannot do that. There are restrictions and assumptions for the algorithms, but again, when you apply those algorithms, people tend to put in quotations. I will putting the particular sentence is directional model. So where you actually try to cover up your data issues by saying, okay, so you don't have the amount of data, the particular model or algorithm that I'm building is directional. It will provide just an understanding how to, but not how much to do. It's not about quantitativeness. So moving further, let's talk about, this is a question, open question to you guys, all the participants who are there. I want to ask this question. What do you think? And please raise your hand so that Dinesh sir or Yokesh sir can actually unmute you and you can present your case. Is like, what do you, business first or algorithm first, or business first and algorithm second? What do you think about it?
Do you want to answer? They can raise their hand, please.
This is very important, because what is happening is there's the important thought behind it. Business first, algorithm second, or algorithm first, business second. There's a very important thought. So I want you guys to come. Yeah.
I think developing a business logic is very important before going into selection of an algorithm. We should first look at data and analyze the business logic behind it, and then the algorithm can place its place.
Okay. So can you tell me, Nihar, right?
Yes.
So can you little elaborate in which case does it implicate more, and which can I can say is algorithm can come first? Can you tell that? Can you think about that?
Let's say a generalized term like COVID-19 data, right?
Yeah.
It is a public data, and it is coming from everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And there is no business which can a particular business area that can be you know can be affected or implemented for this type of data. So for this, you try to analyze the data and find out insights. So for this, you just try different type of algorithms and try to analyze the data as much as possible. So in this kind of situations, I think algorithm might come first.
Fantastic, fantastic. This was the answer that I really fantastic. The thing is, it's not always business first or algorithm second or algorithm first or second. It depends completely upon the particular case that you have. For example, Nihar give a fantastic example of COVID-19 data where you cannot do anything. It's a completely random data and you don't have any business case for that. So obviously what you need to do is you need to look out for different algorithms which actually suffice and give you a particular accurate prediction of the future. But when you talk about sales data, so in that particular case, your business will come first, because in that case, you need to understand that, or may not be the case, that whatever the statistics is telling you might be true. That I have seen many of the times when actually modeling for Nielsen, I could have seen that. I have seen that a long number of times where business actually comes in a far more important part than your. So this particular concept, guys, is very, very important to understand. And in any segment you go, suppose right now the world is divided into two parts, where people are talking about technical issues and business issues. Understand, if there is no business issue, in most of the cases, there's no algorithm. And other parts which are related to your real-time life, that is like how you are going to see the artificial intelligence, or those particular situations where business case does not hold, the algorithm comes first. So keep in mind, it's always the case, and there is no hard and fast rule as business first, algorithm second, or algorithm first and business second. Moving forward, there has been a speculation in this world, and today also I had a small reading on LinkedIn where I actually studied about how artificial intelligence is going to be so bad for us. But actually speaking, and being in the industry for a long time, I can actually tell you that it is not necessary that artificial intelligence comes in, or machine learning comes in, and you will lose your touch. Every particular business case required human element. You might have machines, you might have algorithms that run the particular machine learning or analysis, but putting is not important when you talk about machine learning or talking about business case. It's not important how good you are talking about the algorithms. It is how good you are presenting the story. Because suppose I am presenting a story and I actually come out with algorithms. I can apply any number of algorithms. For example, support vector machines. I can apply a lot of algorithms, neural networks, but I cannot explain that common people. For example, when you talk about industry leaders, artificial intelligence, machine learning is something that helps their business. It is not what drives their business. Understand that very importantly. So it is about your story that you present for a particular business case is important. So you always think about implementing the human element. And actually that is what actually makes it very strict for people to understand how things work in the real world. How a particular person can take actions. It's always about business impact or real life actions that you can take to actually make the particular position better. So always remember, whenever you're linked, add the human element. This particular slide is one of my best, and I feel good about this because so there's a question. There's a funny question that I want to ask you guys. Is can you tell me if you want to kill a particular mosquito, will you bring out hit or you bring out a bazooka? So it's never possible that to a particular mosquito you are going to use a bazooka and blow off your house, right? So this statement, please put in your mind that it is very important to understand that good shouldn't be beaten down by the pursuit of great. So what it actually means, I will go word by word and explain you. Good. A model, suppose you are implementing linear regression. It comes out with a very good insight, but with a very good accuracy. So what happens is you present to your business leader, say, okay, this is happening, and you have a good story for it. The business leader understands what to take, how to do, what are the actions that you want to implement. But the moment you go and talk about a particular situation, for example, I have sales forecasting and I am bringing on support vector regressions or K-NN regression, and I'm not able to explain that to my leader. Or I'm a businessman, I'm very fascinated with the algorithms, and I am doing suppose next month how much inventory do I need. So I don't need to go on and understand big algorithms. I can be fascinated with big algorithms and can do it for fun, but those are not actionable or implementable. The most important thing that we can have is implementation. Let me give you an example of a very big e-commerce company. So I was doing modeling with that company, and that company has a brand metrics. So today the world is actually moving on various things of brand metrics. For example, that brand I prefer, brand I trust, because after this COVID situation, I had a talk with a person from a media company, and that particular person made a very beautiful comment that the brand resonance will be driven by the brand preference in the COVID situation. So in this particular case, for that company to actually implement something good, they need to understand where I can put money and change the things. It is not about making a model beautiful with lots of variables, lots of algorithms, but it is more important to understand whether I am able to implement those actions in real life and gain money out of it. Because companies do not do data science to get insights that are very fantastic, and then they're like, oh my god, I got an insight from this, and they're always looking for recommendations. They're always looking for some actionable. For example, if I am doing a particular modeling, the particular person who is actually paying for that wants to, okay, I have done this model, how can I implement this model in real life and earn money from it? How can I maximize my profit from it? It is not about big things that I design. It is about how I'm able to explain a story to a person, and that particular person is able to take a particular action. Guys, this is my most important uh, dialogue, you can say statement. If you cannot visualize it, you cannot enjoy it. Reason behind it. Always remember, this is where business intelligence talks about. If you are talking about small business, suppose you are doing, and you cannot understand and visualize the data. For example, I can have a number of data points, particular Excel sheet. I can look at the data points and I can say, okay, so good numbers. But can you bring out insights while looking at the numbers? Not an expert. I have seen people who can just look at the numbers and tell, okay, fantastic, this is how it's going good. But the problem is, we are not super beings, we're superhuman. We need some aid to understand what is going in real life. So what we always want to understand is how the things go on, how to see it in a very particular way, so that we can actually easily acclimatize to it, assimilate it. So it is always that, okay, there are 10 data points. I want to see the trend. I put a particular scatter plot or line plot. I can see, okay, there is a trend. Okay, so that means your sales is increasing. That is what is important. And more importantly, when you're talking about visualizations, you need to learn a lot of charts and a lot of things, because if you don't learn charts and don't learn graphs and how to implement it, it is going to be very dangerous. Guys, few minutes back, I actually asked you to look to that particular thing in a particular way. So let's go to the first slide. Let's go to the slide. Can any one of you tell me what is a little wrong about this slide? Why this slide does not serve the purpose? Can you tell me? Can anybody tell me, please? Dinesh, if you see somebody putting hands up, please unmute him or her. Anybody, please? You can at least try. Okay, I take it as a no. So I mentioned that artificial intelligence and data science is an umbrella. So I see data science as working as an umbrella, but I don't see artificial intelligence working as an umbrella for deep learning, machine learning, business intelligence. So this is where my this particular picture does not come out to be a very strong like insightful diagram. So you sees this, understand, okay, data science has these parts and none of them have to do anything with them. They're just connected with each other. But again, data science is the upper layer. It can be shown as an onion. When the upper peel is data science, then artificial intelligence, then data science, then business intelligence, then artificial intelligence, then machine learning, and then deep learning. So please, guys, understand visualization is very important. Now moving on to these two parts. I want to really emphasize on these parts, because they're in these two parts, this slide and the next slide, that is market analytics, manufacture, and healthcare. And these two parts very important to understand, because then I'm going to talk about COVID-19. And guys, I will really like participation from you guys, and I want you to come out with answers that I ask question on, because otherwise, if I keep on talking, I think I will be going very fast, and this might not serve a purpose for you guys. So please understand that let's go and discuss about the healthcare and market analytics, how these things are actually implemented in COVID-19. And there are other many cases that can be taken. I've chosen for this to be example one as healthcare, and the second one as the marketing analytics. So looking at data science is a very huge and a very fantastic kind of a thing where you can actually analyze the various things. For example, in healthcare has not been implementing medical data science from a short time. if you think about clinical trials, if you think about, it has been going on for ages. I was talking to a few friends of mine, and I will really want to tell you this. There are papers in 1960 where people have actually designed algorithms to find out how the face matches with the how the face matches, how you can actually find out a skull and actually design a face on it. Those things were implemented in 1960. But why are we implementing them right now? Because of the computational power that we have. Let me give you some examples for this particular thing, and let me tell you about some of my experience going forward in this, and then I will move down to marketing analytics, and then I will talk at least 10-15 minutes on corona. So talking about medical image analysis, guys, when you talk about medical image analysis, is basically, nowadays you might have seen there are many projects going on where you actually see whether a person has diabetes or not, whether a person has lung tuberculosis or not, whether the particular person has different. This is a part of deep learning, where people are actually using a large number of data sets to train and then find out more accurately what is a tumor, what is a cancer, whether the person has diabetes or not, whether the person has retinal cancer or not, these kind of things. So which has enabled human being to be more efficient while finding out something. So those people who understand that there are two situations in the real world that may go very wrong. For example, that has recently happened actually. A person has corona and the doctors say, okay, you don't have corona. And a person does not have a corona and a person says, okay, you have a corona. Now, in the first case, it is a very dangerous situation. In the second case, the particular person is going to get more critical assistance, more quarantine facilities, more attention. It is good, okay, fine. But if you talk about a particular person who has a corona and we detected that particular person to be known, he's not having corona, that particular person will go out in the market and go into the particular environment and spread it to other 400 people. That has been counted, right? So stop this analysis. Medical science has been going on and doing this stuff. So you might have seen that in Pune, the people are actually trying to find out the pictures of corona and trying to make how to differentiate from the normal viruses that cause influenza and how corona is different. So this is where medical image analysis comes into action. Genomics and genetics. Let me tell you something. When I was studying in BIT Mishra, I had a professor called Amrutanjali ma'am. So who was working on actually defining how the particular genetics or the chromosome structure or the DNA structure is quite similar to other particular animals. So that how can this be good? So for example, I'm implementing some particular medicine to some particular animal. If that particular animal's genetics is quite similar to mine, I can expect that the particular medicine to be working better on me or the human beings. And let me give you a funny fact. Out of 50 of our the DNA coding that we have, out of that 50% matches with banana. Next, talking about drug discovery. Why drug discovery has taken so much knowledge from practical data science. When you develop a particular drug, each 1 milligram of a particular composition can actually affect the particular total drug enactment in your body. So that is called pharmacology. So what happens is we try to develop algorithms where we actually work on drug discovery, and for example, we try to simulate processes which actually can help instead of real life costing, that can actually help you do analysis how that particular drug will enact, how the drug will be working on the body. But again, then it requires a human touch and trials and approvals for us to understand whether it's going to really be implemented or not. Predictive medicine. When you talk about predictive medicines in real world, predictive medicine is something that you already have knowledge about the previous medicines and previous ailments. You can actually bring out predictive medicines, which can actually help for real. So Obama once mentioned that we need to be prepared for pandemics, because we have been seeing pandemics for not this the first time. We have been seeing pandemics before that. We have seen Ebola, SARS, but we are not implementing that. We are not do not have the infrastructure for predictive medicine still now. We are trying to do it at our level best, but we still need to have that infrastructure where we are able to implement predictive medicine. And then what we can do is something new comes up. The medicines can actually, the scientists or the doctors can actually come up with medicines that are quite enactable and quite strong on their treatment procedures. Second is monitoring patient health. Slowly, what is happening when you see a particular patient, for example, an heart patient, you need to actually check whether the particular person's heart rate is okay, the cholesterol levels, and the different kinds of various tests that goes on. But in real life, you are doing it manually. I understand there is this thing called doctor's experience, but that doctor's experience can be fed to a particular machine, and that can actually work tremendous for monitoring patient health. For example, we can set boundaries for heart pulse rates. So if it goes more than 200, then that is a very dangerous situation. The machine will automatically alert the doctors sitting in the other rooms or sitting somewhere that this particular patient needs critical attention right now itself. The next thing is tracking and preventing diseases. I was talking about machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep learning with generalization methods. So we need to understand that we need to be tracking and preventing diseases. That is what is going on in Corona. I want to really mention that different countries, for example, you take the example of Taiwan. Taiwan was very proactive, and South Korea, very proactive in tracking and preventing the diseases. They started testing. They started testing the disease, testing for the patients very fast. How did they do it? Data science. They were using tracking methods and preventing diseases. I understand that there has been a lot of talk about China and how China has affected the world, but if we talk about their mechanism of actually tracking the customers and finding out, tracking the people who have these particular ailments of Corona, and then finding out who are and quarantining them, was fantastic. This is what our Modi government is trying to do right now. Let's talk about the last part, and I want you guys to give me an example of providing virtual assistance. Can somebody give me an example of the virtual assistance that we have right now for Corona? Can anybody please come out and talk? Yeah, please.
Those who want to speak and make a comment, please raise your hand.
Anybody, please? Actually speaking, it is a very fantastic app. Yeah, there are speculation about the app, but that is something that is doing very good right now. And those who are actually eating food by Zomato, they understand. So I've been stuck in Chennai, right? So I sometimes use Zomato. So I can see that particular app being so widely used. So can anybody name that app, particular app?
Sir, this is Dinesh Panchal. One of the participants, Ms. Dhwani Shah, says Google Map.
Yeah, Google Map. Fantastic Google Map. But one more app, but that is not providing virtual assistance only, right? Can anybody tell me? I'll be very, very happy to hear that particular virtual assistance thing. I'm trying to get it. It's a very, very fantastic app that our government is really marketing right now, so that people use it. And yeah, anybody please?
There's an answer from Jyoti Tiwari, Arogya Setu.
Yeah, fantastic. I was trying to reach that actually. So it is Arogya Setu. So you can see that they're providing there are two things that are actually being done there, and actually three things. If you see, monitoring patient health, You might think that you are sick. You are actually doing over a period of time. You are going onto that particular app and putting your comments, like whether you have cough, whether you have breathing ailments, whether you have traveled somewhere. So you are doing that particular monitoring of the patient health, as well as for providing the virtual assistance, where if you want to connect with the particular doctors or with the COVID-19 assistance team, you can directly do it from there. And again, that is using Bluetooth to track where are you moving, because if you might have seen in this particular app, they are putting a particular thing. Okay, 1.2 kilometers away there is a particular corona patient. So this is your way you are very much informed about the healthcare that you have right now using data science. Let's move on to the second part. We have talked about healthcare, now talk about business. This is a very tough time. You can actually see in US few days back, the oil prices plummeted like anything. They were like negative dollars for a particular barrel. That means people are going to pay you for storing and carrying away the barrels. Then you talk about how things have changed, how the particular behavior of a customer has changed. So let's understand this, that marketing analytics provides information to the particular manufacturers what to do, how to do. Let's get on to a very in this particular site. Let's get on to very generic ideas, and I would like you guys to understand. I think you guys are computer science engineers and business people and people from outside. So can you guys please can you guys come up with some things that you have seen in the particular period that you think has really touched the consumer behavior? Can anybody come out with any of the ideas? How do you think the consumer behavior might have changed? Anybody, please?
Those who want to speak, comment, please raise your hand.
Please feel free, because this is something that is going to make you understand the next slide that I'm going to talk about very, very comprehensively. So I'm taking each part into consideration. So please, can you guys come out with a small idea? Like, you have been going out right now, right? You might have seen what is happening in the real world. So can you actually think of some issues that you might come out, like you have seen that customer behavior might have changed, what really people are buying, what you can't buy? So like that, can you give me any examples, please? Anybody?
Yeah. Dhwani Shah written a comment that we are suspicious about the product because of the corona fear.
Okay. So what has that made you to do, basically?
Okay. And Ria is writing, consumer now want to buy products which are safe and sanitized.
Okay. Fantastic. So these things, so when these are parts that have actually become very important in the market right now, that if we want sanitized, we want safe products, and day by day we are actually looking on the TV. There has been speculation on the TV that a particular coronavirus stays on paper for 8 days, and these kind of data are provided to you. So what happens is this has very big impact on the market right now. Companies are suffering. This is one of the toughest times. I have seen sales of various products going completely down, and again I have seen products being sold like mad, and I hope you might have seen that as well. So we're going to talk about it in the next slide, but I'm talking about right now, it is very important for the market to understand where to invest their money, how to invest their money, when to invest their money, how can you actually work on the particular marketing ways for you to actually make people buy for it. For example, suppose you want to sell particular, for example, something like a trimmer or something like of a book or something like that. How will you market about it? Are you going to sell some food, ready to eat food? How are you going to actually market it so the people don't get scared and still come to you to buy it? How are the particular supermarkets marketing their particular ideas? How they are doing the stuff? That is most important to understand. That is where marketing analytics come into action and actually helps people to understand how it works, how to actually spend your money wisely. Because if you don't use your money wisely, then you are going to land up wasting more money. And in this period where you don't have much more cash, you will see far more layoffs, job cuts, job salaries being cut, bonuses being cut, increments being cut. So that is going to have adverse effect on your system because it's going to add up to your attrition. So these things, actually everything is connected together when you talk about this. So let's talk about the most important fact that Yogesh sir also has been talking to me about is COVID-19 and Corona disease 2019. So let me go step by step. So I was talking about how healthcare system is using data science for COVID-19. Let me give you how market is trying to cope with the things, and let me give you some facts that are really working out right now for the particular companies, and they need to watch it out.
Sir, can I request you to take a pause? Ms. Himal Shah wanted to ask something.
Yeah, sure.
Himal ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah, hello ma'am.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
With reference to your previous slide, I wanted to quote that example that you were discussing, that businesses these days are designing their marketing strategies according to what statistics are coming and how the situation is evolving. So the example I wanted to quote was about the Domino's Pizza's zero contact delivery.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to elaborate on that?
No, sir. It's okay. You can continue.
No, you can elaborate on that. No, it's I want it to be interactive. Yeah, so you can elaborate on that and give points so that people actually have a good understanding of it. Please go on.
Yeah. So as situation is changing and getting complicated with the time increasing, but still people are looking for essential services, and hence the business players are understanding the need of the hour, and they are making the arrangements in a place where actually it can be suitable and meeting the standards as per given by government guidelines and all. So yeah, that's what I think businesses are trying to do, so that they can cater the requirement and
and drive their ROIs, right?
Exactly.
Make profit
At the same time, not losing the business. Yeah.
Yes, fantastic. I really appreciate. Thank you for coming in and actually quoting this particular example. It was fantastic, actually, guys. That is what is happening. Business. Thank you. Yeah. So I'll move forward. What is happening is fantastic, ma'am. The thing is, when you're talking about business players are not the people, because business is about taking risks, right? Those who do business, they know that business is about taking risk, and these kind of uncanny situations might happen anytime and anywhere. But how to mitigate that risk? How to be proactive and very reactive? So you cannot be proactive to this situation. You have to be only reactive to this particular situation. How can you be reactive to this situation? Let me give you for examples. For example, when you talk about, for example, I have some specific data points to be put in. People are spending more time at home, but can you see this fantastic phenomenon that at home you don't see our moms, our sisters, our wives watching more of the serials right now, or the TV soaps right now that much, because it is repetition. What is going on more right now is the news channel, right? People are so much worried about the situation that everybody is watching news every particular moment of time. If you go on WhatsApp, people are discussing, okay, yesterday there was a particular gas leak in Chhattisgarh. These kinds of things are happening. So let me come to this part where marketing companies, what are they doing? Media companies. So particular company does ads, right? they try to do more ads. So in the normal period, since the people are watching more of the particular matches, TV soaps, they try to put your ads during that particular prime time, so that people get more penetration and more reach to the customers, and they can actually have more views, so that people, when they come to buy that, they have that in their brain that this particular new product is in the market. That is happening right now, that people are trying to do those ads that people still don't right now. It is not about new products, it is about people not forgetting the brands, because when the people start forgetting the brands, they switch. To decrease that churn, to increase the propensity, people, what they are doing is doing ads in the news channels right now, instead of putting of money more into the particular repeated channels or repeated TV soaps. So you can see actually the investment getting decreased in the particular TV soaps and getting more into the TV channels. Now what has happened is, you might have also seen that online OTTs, where you can actually see Netflix getting more and more amount of views, Amazon Prime more getting more views, because people are stuck at home, so they're watching movies. So what has happened is, if you can kindly see, movies were being released in the cinema hall, but over the period of time, you can understand, there was an article, the owners of the cinema halls are very much scared that during the COVID-19 situation, whatever has happened, and because of social distancing, it will take around 1 or 2 years to actually people go back to the theaters and watch movies. So how is movie industry going to look up to the particular thing? They are going to release more stuffs on Netflix, Amazon Prime. They are going to have more collaboration on these OTTs. If you see, this is the way these people are doing, and how Amazon Prime is actually working on this particular situation. If you can actually see, so understand, guys, it is there in front of you. The only thing that is way more important is understanding that how those things are done right now. Netflix right now are, like, for example, Hotstar, Disney. They are giving, suppose you buy a 409 rupees or 8 rupees thing on Airtel, they give you Disney Hotstar free. So what is happening? So these people are trying to get to you using the other methods. They are not they're not worried about money. They know the more viewership they get, the more money they make. So they're thinking of making economy of scale right now. So that is why they're giving more discounts, more offers on Sims, or for Jio, you have movies collaborating with Jio Cinema and putting out those on the internet. That is going to be seen in real life. Then talking about CPG, or you can talk about the consumer product goods, or you can talk about the FMCG. People are very much worried about essentials right now. People are spending less on non-requirement. If they don't require it, they're not going to spend. There has been a small speculation from Raghuram Rajan, the ex-governor of RBI. The people are going to spend more on essential terms, and they should not be stop doing that. So what is going to happen is, the domestic investment is going to be less on the particular other services, recreational services, than on the essential services. So what companies can learn from this? What companies can learn from this is, basically they are now going to provide offers essentially on the essential services more, so that people, they can actually upsell on that. So people are not going to worry about cross-selling now. The cross-selling will be less. People will be trying to upsell in the particular genre they have. For example, in the essential services, there will be more or upselling. Even the cross-selling that will work is, cross-selling will be there in terms of the essential products itself, and that will be incentivized. People will give more incentives on particular products, so that you buy essential products, and then you can actually tag along some other products with it. So this is where the market is going towards, and it is actually very important for the other companies to understand right now. For example, FMCG companies to understand right now how to devise their customer relationship management techniques. So that is where companies are right now watching closely the customer behavior. If you see, for example, Has anybody gone through the PayPal's Q1 ROI reports or the financial reports? Has anyone gone through? Please, can anybody come out and tell? Anybody, please?
Those who want to comment, please raise your hand.
Okay, so I'll take it as a no. So what I will say is, just now, ma'am actually gave an example of contactless delivery, right? But don't you think notes are papers? Credit cards are prone to those things. So what has happened is, right now the contactless payment systems are going to be very, very important. There are cases in China where the contactless payments have been fantastically growing, and that has actually implemented people to recover from the particular stage. So PayPal has shown a big profit. So a few days back, I was talking to my friend, and I was speculating which industries can we think of are doing profit in this particular situation. Can anybody give me at least 2 or 3 examples, please? Any industry that you think have really made good profit in this particular time? Can anybody tell me that? Anybody, please? Please, those who want to actually comment, please raise your hands, and Dinesh and actually unmute you, please. Please, guys, come on. This is a fantastic thing to understand, actually.
Dhaval sir, can you go ahead, please?
Yes, sir. First one is our education industry, those who are providing education online mode.
Yes.
So that is the one. Second one is probably this online meeting software industry, like
Fantastic.
Zoom, Webex. So their sales means the number of users increased drastically.
Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. Anybody else?
Also, sir, the railway industry, because when the lockdown commenced, the prices of its share were 800, and now it has gone up to 1300. So there's a huge change in
Yeah.
prices.
Yeah, perfect. For IRCTC, you're speaking about, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I also bought some shares on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Sir.
Nihar Shah.
yeah, pardon?
Sir, I would the app like YouTube and TikTok, they are growing
Yes.
in numbers. The gaming industry has been thriving like anything in this period.
Yes.
So these are some of the basic industries that are growing ridiculously well.
Yes. So why I asked this question? So anybody else? Yeah, sorry. Anybody was somebody was saying something.
Somebody was logged in as a Vivo 1716.
Oh, Vivo 1716.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Rohil, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Hello. Hi.
Sir, what about finance sector?
Yeah, I will talk about it. Finance sector. I will talk about it.
Because people will be in need of money and they will go for like loan and all. So, is there any chance that finance sector will grow?
So the thing is, if you look at so when you talk about so let me first go to that particular part. So there are 2 parts that I want to talk about. The first part that we're talking about the thriving businesses, and then I will talk about the fintechs or the financial parts that you're talking about, right? So when we talk about the first part, why did I ask this question? This question was basically for those who are actually thinking of changing their jobs, or those people who are actually looking out for jobs. So please understand that these are the particular markets. For example, the companies which sold sanitizers, they are rich. They are really rich now. The companies talking about gaming industry, we're talking about, for example, many other so for example these industries, for example in online education industries, for example Coursera, then talking about meetings. So sir, Dhaval sir, fantastic example. Actually today only there was a small meeting of small thing on LinkedIn by Satya Nadella, where he was actually saying that in this particular COVID term, because just before the COVID they actually launched Microsoft Teams, and already 500k people are using that Microsoft Teams in the companies. So what is happening is these companies are really thriving because of the situations, and it is like some companies will fail and some companies will do good. When you talk about finance companies, yes, finance companies are the most important companies that are actually very proactive and reactive when talk about the particular these kind of pandemics happen. So the most important thing is they have this risk management that none of the other particular companies do that strongly. They understand how the risks are there. So they do risk modeling right now. They have the customer segmentation. But now the customer segmentation have changed. So before they were calculating the customer value to customer lifetime value in a different manner. They will be now changing those customer lifetime values and customer segments. Depending on that, the right now what actually the finance segments require is sorry, a stimulus from the market so that they can actually thrive, because right now you can understand people are thinking of living rather than uh, taking loans up, right? So in the near future, because of this particular situation, there will be a particular drop in the financial sector. But again, the financial sector will be quite good enough to mitigate that risk using the data science, because then they're going to see the trends and they're going to change the customer segments and the way of calculating customer life value. Then let's talk about something far more in terms of when you talk about mitigations, and I've talked about mitigation, I've talked about marketing, I've talked about other things. Right now we have to talk about supply chain as well. The food industry, the supply chain industry has suffered the most because everything is stopped. Yes, ma'am was talking about how Zomato, how Domino's are actually doing the contactless particular ideas, but still people are scared. People are trying to eat, cook food and eat at home. So these particular companies have really taken a big hit. So supply chain has really taken a hit, but again they're trying to analyze the methods, and they're going to do network planning and network optimizations to actually find out the more efficient and less costly methods to actually reach the customer. Once the particular things are over, for example, right now, how Amazon is actually working is they're only delivering the particular essential activities. But when you talk about the things are over, they're going to take much more care and take much more investment in the particular sector of supply chain. I had a talk and a recent interaction with a guy from Poland who actually works with the companies, something like of Expedia or Trivago. So there will be a change in the hotel industry as well when you talk about it. So what is going to happen are the hotel industry, since they have to put more money into keeping their work areas safe, what they are going to do is they're going to put more money. They're going to put less money onto the third-party aggregators and try to build their own websites to actually get more more recommendation and more clients from there. So the particular aggregator companies, online aggregator companies, going to take hit. So be very, very particular about choosing those companies when you are actually looking for jobs right now, because those companies will suffer in the coming 1 or 2 years, because the cash movement and the companies are going for cash preservation right now. So be very particular about thinking about those companies. So this was a small discussion about COVID-19. I will try to touch every segment of it, talking about that. So we can actually have question and answers in the question and answer section. But I have a very beautiful slide that I want to put in front of you guys, and that I believe from my heart is data science is an art, and that can be learned. So when you talk about this is for the new people who are actually doing, and those people who are not in the particular field and they want to go into the field, understand this is not something like painting. It is not something like music that is like you get it from birth, or something that you have to be like super skilled in the particular thing. Data science is an art that you crunch the numbers, you munch the numbers, you wrangle the numbers, but that comes from experience. So if you guys really want to work in data science, the most important thing is to prepare yourself to dedicate your time. And I'll tell you something, after like I have left my education that has been like 6, 7 years, and I have been reading every day, because data science is something that is very evolving every day. You need to read, you need to understand, you need to learn every day, because what is happening, and you have to be very important to understand one thing. So data science is something that takes into account everything in this particular world. Let me give you an example. Do you know who is Anna Hathaway? She's a very beautiful actress, Hollywood actress. And anybody knows Hathaway Holdings? Warren Buffett owns that. So whenever there is a movie coming out for Anna Hathaway, the share prices for Hathaway Holdings go up. That is because the people have this rumor going on in the market, and when you are
Subhagata sir. Subhagata sir.
the
Sir, we are not able to hear you.
Thank you guys. Sorry, actually there was a problem with my connection and I got dropped off. So the thing was, it was my last slide, although. So I'll still share my screen. So I'll show you the last slide. So last slide is about question and answer. Please guys, feel to come in and with your questions, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. Please, guys, shoot, please.
Raise your hand if you want to ask any questions. I'll unmute your microphone.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Hi.
Yes, sir. My question is regarding with the drug discovery method. Probably I have read that ML, machine learning, is used for
Yes.
decoding the DNA, RNA sequences.
Yes.
And same way it is useful for discovery of the drug. New drugs can be discovered very easily. So
Yes.
why the scientists still striving for finding the solution of COVID-19? That I would like to know.
Yeah, sure. So, sir, the thing is, when you talk about drug discovery or drug machine learning, right? So I remember doing a small project with Bengal Chemicals. I'm a Bengali,
Right.
so I was doing a small project with Bengal Chemicals where I was actually looking at few of the parts for. Actually, it was not a data set provided by the Bengal Chemicals. It was like something that I received from my other actually. So where you have to understand that when you're talking about drug discovery, and you are, suppose you understand regression, suppose I hope you understand regression, right?
Yeah, regression analysis, right.
So when you talk about regression and you talk about the margin of error or the R square you're talking about, so or you talk about the p values, in that particular case the window is very small, the power of accuracy has to be very high.
Right.
You can actually, and when you talk about the COVID-19 virus, the COVID-19 virus has a very peculiar thing that was not seen before with the other viruses. For example, SARS, MERS. what is happening this particular way. So why does ML fail in this case? I will tell you why. ML is about generalization. COVID-19 is not generalized. It actually affects every person in a different way that you might have read, right? It affects all the person in a very different way. So that is a place where generalization for ML is failing. We might have a very big computational capability, but few things are there that we cannot be sure about until unless we have a very high amount of power of accuracy. So people are doing research on that. They are implementing on the animals, but implementing that on the particular human being is very dangerous to the human rights issues. You might have seen that recently Israel has said that I've come with a particular vaccine, right? Then Oxford is saying. So those people are trying to do that. But since a particular algorithm is not that easy to implement when it comes to real life with a mutating virus, it will obviously take time.
Okay. Sir, second question is regarding with this field, data science and business analytics. So there are some students who are pursuing their BCA, that is Bachelor of Computer Applications.
Yes.
Right, and they are planning to do their masters. So, sir, can you guide them for this course, that how it will become useful for them? So, if they can pursue this after their BCA.
Okay, let me give the answer in a very beautiful way and a very something that I've learned from my friend.
Right.
He's also a BCA. He is a genius in Python.
Right.
So, guys, BCA, you have the understanding of languages and you have the understanding of programming, right?
Definitely.
What I want to mention here is it is not specifically to any of the subjects. I'm a computer science engineer. I will really want to tell you that it is very fun to work with data science because we have been doing this in our college itself during my engineering, and my friends have been doing this during the BCA. So there are two segments when you talk about data science. One is developing a tool, and there is developing a data science model. And if you are interested in developing a tool, fantastic. You learn Python, you work on that, you do your MC. Even if you do your MCA, it does not matter, because you should be learning Python and other clouds, for example, AWS and Azure, so that you can implement those ideas of yours when you collaborate with the data scientists or data analysts.
Right.
So talking about if you want to move away from it, if you want to move, you have BCA, you want to do MBA after that, you can also do that and get into the business context of analytics, where you can actually go into a marketing company. For example, I can give you an example of Nielsen, where you can actually go and develop models for different clients, for FMCG, for automobile, and give them a story.
Right.
The third part can be where you are learning Python and you are a niche student. Understand, you are a super niche student and you have learned to understand deep learning concepts. The world is open to you guys. Go to Google, you go to a startup as well. I would rather say you should go for this time. You should be a little worried about the startups because of COVID-19. But after this, you can actually avail these courses on deep learning, machine learning, and then you can actually go to big companies where they're actually implementing this. But the major point, the common point of this all is, don't be naive in your machine learning ideas. Please dedicate your time to be very strong with the particular algorithm that you know. Go on Kaggle, participate. Go on learning those things and implement and discuss with your professor. I think your professors are fantastic. Go and talk with the professors and ask them to actually help you design algorithms. Ask them to ask you questions. Be more working on the capstone projects, because capstone projects are going to help you more get involved in the real world analytics. Please do that. So for the BCA guys, I'm telling you this, no problem learning this. Please understand there are 3 steps depending upon your choice, whether you have a business mind, whether you're coding mind, or you are generalized person. Take these steps in data science.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any more questions, please?
Okay, there's one question from Ria. How can we
Yeah.
manipulate our existing ML models to predict COVID-19 disease in people having no symptoms?
So that is a very the research question that I am not working on right now. But actually, you can use the various parameters that are given. For example, those people who are actually not showing symptoms. So those are a random walk patients. So until unless you find some kind of parameters that are actually generating a pattern, it is very difficult for ML algorithms to actually find out those customers. You might be having an accuracy of around 20 to 30%, but not more than that, what I believe. So, for example, what are their vital stats who are not showing right now any symptoms, but they might show. And then one more important point for modeling, guys, understand when you are talking about modeling, the most important part is talking about domain experts. So for example, I'm not a domain expert on COVID-19. So if I have to do this model and I have to understand what is actually the true case, what I can do is I can sit with a domain expert, for example, a doctor or researcher in the field of medicine, and ask him, what do you think are the other parameters that we are overlooking right now for the ML algorithms? I hope that answers your question.
Sir, there's one more question from Dhwani Shah.
Yeah.
You said 3 parts related to data science, but I would like to ask about what about corporate training related to data science? What would be the scope?
Corporate training. So how do you talk about it? Like, are you talking about providing corporate training or taking corporate training?
Providing.
So yeah, obviously, if you are talking about corporate training in terms of data science, is a very fantastic concept. Do you know Peter Novick? Anybody knows Peter Novick? That is the owner of, he's a head of Google Brain and Google Artificial Intelligence team. He actually is a partner in Udacity. You might have heard about it. They are actually doing this business. So corporate trainings really help a lot, because what industry experts are going to tell you something. For example, I've been working on a number of pro models, and will be very proud to tell you that I have saved a lot of money for various entertainment companies, around a billion rupees I've saved for a particular company. So taking corporate training, those guys will give you real time, so you can read a number of books. It can obviously help you. But when you take, there are tips, because every model is not going to be the similar, and there are some tips and tricks that company tricks that we call, or trade tricks we call, that you will not come out to know from any book. That you have to talk to corporate trainers who have a long experience and can tell you that, okay, do this, that might help you actually in doing a better model and implementing that in a real way, but basically deploying it in a better way. I hope that answers your question.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So becoming a data science, what are the basic fundamentals that you would recommend to, to have a strong hold on?
So I used to take interviews for Nielsen. So I have interviewed somewhere around 70 to 75 people, and I'm very, very unhappy to say that I could only choose 2 people out of the lot. The reason behind is, this is a fantastic question asked by Nihad. Please, it is fantastic that you asked this question, because data science or being a data scientist is not about just learning Python language and algorithms. It is having strong understanding of the underlying foundations, for example, statistics. For example, I want to ask you a question. What is mean, median, and mode? And when do you think, in which business, can you give me some business cases where mean is more important than mode, and mode is more important than median, or something like that? Until unless you have the understanding and practical implementation of the statistical concepts, you cannot actually implement any of the statistical algorithms. You might end up using R or Python writing a large number of codes and bringing out the analysis. But if you don't have understanding of statistics, basic statistics, it's going to be very difficult. So if I have to chronologically define a funnel, first at the base of the pyramid will be your statistics. Be very sound with statistics. Understand what are the probability distributions. Understand that very importantly, because until unless you understand statistics and probability, you're not going to understand the later part, because things are going to get more difficult. Then start learning. First thing, understand, learn regression. If you are able to implement regression in Excel sheet without using the data analytics and analysis tool pack, understand that you have learned regression. Try to implement that. Then slowly move to the particular algorithms. When you are reading the algorithms, don't just read the algorithms from the code perspective. Look at the mathematical definitions, because each of the particular algorithms have their hyperparameters. They have their loss functions based on which you are going to tune a model or tune the algorithms. So you have to understand, don't just look at the codes, look at the algorithms, mathematical background as well. It might be difficult at the starting point, but it will be very important. When you are moving from the machine learning to the deep learning focus, those people who actually want to learn deep learning, start learning linear algebra and matrix algebra and analysis. If you don't understand this, you are not going to be able to work on deep learning, because computation, when you're talking about iterations, it is very complex, it is very costly. But the moment you convert that to vectorize, you vectorize your code, you implement that on matrices, that becomes very easy to implement. Convolutional neural networks, now artificial neural networks, your RNNs, these work completely on these concepts. Even genetic adversarial networks work on this. So understand these are the funnels that you have while learning for becoming a data scientist. Any more questions?
Jay sir, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Sir, this is Jay Mehta. I'm from Computer Science and Engineering Department
Hello, sir. Yeah.
in Navratna University. Hello, sir. Thank you for your practical views, but there are a bunch of subjects or bunch of areas which are right now very emerging. So,
Yes.
so such as data science, big data, cyber security. So
Yes.
as I'm personally working on a cyber security, so my question is like this: what is the role of data science in a cyber security? Means which are the opportunities in a forthcoming future?
Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. So actually, I am myself pursuing certification ethical hacking,
Yeah.
and I will be moving towards cyber forensics.
Okay.
So I actually, in a line, I'll find the career path to you.
Yeah.
So basically, what happens is, so for example, antiviruses. Suppose you are making, right? Suppose
Yeah.
you're talking about McAfee or Quick Heal.
Yeah.
These companies specifically hire data scientists to actually find out the features of viruses, right? And then use those ideas to actually implement in the real later life. For example, I will give you an example. Have you anybody received any messages from the Ministry of cyber security called Swachhata, like Cyber Swachhata Abhiyan?
Mm, no, I think.
So this is a small initiative taken out by the government of India called Digital India, where they are actually finding out numbers or computers where there are botwares and malwares that have affected that. So they give you a message saying that please check your laptop or mobile using they're doing this using the data science itself.
Okay.
So and the thing is that is going to be a part of UPSC as well. So there are so many opportunities. For example, right now every company that works with data,
Okay.
they need to have this cyber security thing, because when you're talking about, so you might have heard about GDPRs, right?
Yes, yes.
So when you talk about GDPR, for example, in the European context or you can only save the data of a particular customer for 3 years, right?
Yes.
Defining these guidelines and making data more insensitive to the cyber attacks, you need to have these guys who are more understanding about data science and cybersecurity as well.
Okay. Good.
So I actually defined the line as certified, so data scientist, certified ethical hacker, and the certified forensics, cyber forensics. It can be a very beautiful path for people.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Any more questions, or I shall be resting my case and over to you, Dinesh sir.
Yeah, Yogesh sir.
Yes, sir. So really, it was very informative and interesting talk, sir. And I'm very much thankful to you for accepting our invitation in such a short span of time. And thanks for talking on a COVID-19, because it was the request from our pros that arrived late night, and still you managed for it just within few hours. So thank you for that. Uh, I request Jay sir from our university to give the brief of your talk. So Jay sir, please.
Okay. Thank you, Yogesh sir. First of all, I want to tell to all the students and of course our speaker that previously we were knowing about data science uses techniques such as ML and AI to extract meaningful information and to predict future patterns and behaviors, right? So after this session, we also come to know that data science is not a technique, is not a tool, but it's an art. You know, it's a, it's a it's a it's a new science for us. So thank you for providing such an inspiring talk. For example, you talked about a human element, how things work in a real world. Okay, with an very impressive images. Okay, the real you put a real pictures in front of us so that it will be a really facilitative for the students, for executing a capstone projects as you discussed. Uh, then you mentioned some good instances related to current scenario. Okay, you describe facts and figures about Netflix, Amazon Prime, Amazon Hotstar, Disney, Expedia, Trivago, etc. Okay, so by mentioning these examples, you have catered uh, a real picture of industry and enterprises nowadays, and you connected those pictures and those instances with a current scenario, that is a COVID-19. Okay, so it's really a wonderful talk. You talked about also healthcare and market analysis for a manufacturer. Okay, so you mentioned a question that how to monitor marketing activities. So we learned so much from this talk, and I hope this will be a very fruitful for the students as well as the faculties. And I personally thankful to you for my questions regarding a cyber security, which is now I'm clear about that. That yeah, cyber security is much more related with the data science. Okay, so thanks a lot once again, sir, for providing such an inspiring talk and discussion about a data science and a business intelligence. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yogesh
Thank you,
sir.
Jay sir. Yeah. Thank you, Jay sir. And now I request Professor Hemal ma'am to please cite the vote of thanks for this talk.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
On the behalf of Navrashna University, School of Engineering and Technology, I am Hemal Shah, extending vote of thanks to Subhagato Adak sir for sharing the useful insights of data science, state of the art inclined to COVID-19 scenario. We appreciate the way you covered the topic right from introduction to its applications, challenges in various ecosystems, trending today in great detail. The concepts you elaborated, sir, with the real life examples are found really interesting and relatable. We had such a great engaging Q&A session. So also you gave us the direction to learn this art, data science. We truly feel charged. Thank you once again for sharing your knowledge and giving us your time. I thank Professor Yogesh sir, Head BTech CSE and EPTech for arranging this session. I also thank Dinesh Panchal sir, Head CPE for facilitating the session. And thank you all the participants for joining with great enthusiasm. Thank you all.
Thank you.